Today is quite an exciting video because I'm going to be covering the Parcel module bundler. We've all been there. We're starting a brand new project and we're super excited about it. Then we realize we have to set up all the boilerplate just so that we can start writing code. And the boilerplate that we usually have to set up is something like Webpack that has a big long config that can get pretty complex depending on our particular use case. But it's a necessary evil because if we don't use a module bundler like Webpack, we have to just revert back to the traditional way of using script tags inside our HTML. And that is not a nice workflow. And there's a lot of projects for frameworks that abstract away all of that configuration. So things like Create React App or the Angular CLI, for example. But what if you just want to write vanilla JavaScript and you want to use module importing and all of the modern JavaScript conveniences? We used to have to just set up Webpack ourselves. But in the last couple of years, a new tool called Parcel has come onto the scene and is really taking the JavaScript world by storm, because we can have a workflow that's very similar to our traditional just have a script tag and write some code kind of workflow, but we get all of the beautiful conveniences of a module bundler because Parcel just takes care of it in the background for us with zero configuration. Yes, zero, none at all. So this will rapidly speed up the time you can go from having an idea to writing code because you don't have to spend so long setting up a project. So, to show that, I'm going to start with 0 files. We're in a project folder called Parcel, and there's nothing in there. So I'm going to do everything from scratch and see how quickly we can go from 0 to having a fully working project. I'll open up a file called index.html, and I will add in some HTML, and I'll add a script tag where we link to an index.js. And close off the script tag. So this is what you're used to doing. And we'll create that index.js and we'll open that up and we'll just console log things are working. So this is a workflow that you've probably used before. Definitely if you're a beginner, this is probably the first place that you started using JavaScript, just importing it into HTML like this. And to be honest, I use this a lot still. Just for little small quirky projects, and I've done quite a few videos with HTML Canvas where this is the workflow. And from here we can use a tool like Live Server and just open up in the browser, and if we come into the browser we can see the console log things are working, and this is the traditional workflow. We could start writing code here, but then if we start trying to import things in our JavaScript, that's not going to work. So I'll just illustrate that now. So I'll come up, we'll maximize this out, and I'll say hello.js. And inside our hello.js, I will export a function called hello, and it will just console log out hello. And then if we try and import hello from hello.js, and then call the hello function, and then we'll remove the things are working log. But if we go back to the browser from here, we'll see we have unexpected token, and that is in our import statement. And this is because the browser doesn't understand what we're doing here. It doesn't know what the import syntax is. So we can get this working in the traditional way by coming back into our HTML and adding another script tag that links to hello.js, and then remove the export from there, and in our index, instead of importing it, we just call hello because it's all global now. And then we're going down this really bad path of globals and having to remember to import script tags, and it just becomes really, really messy. We want to have this modern convenience of having the import syntax. But we don't want to have to write Webpack configs. So how do we solve that problem? So I'll kill this live server, and I'll just clear out. And what I'll do is yarn init, so this will just give us a package.json, we can see that there, and then we'll yarn add --dev parcel-bundler, and it will just go ahead and install that. So now that we've got that installed, we can open up our package.json. So we can see that we have a dev dependency of the parcel bundler. So I'll just add a scripts property into our package.json, and I'll give it a script called start, and that start script will run parcel index.html. Now, to people who are used to Webpack, this might look kind of strange, because in Webpack you give an entry point of a JavaScript file, where with Parcel we just give it the index.html. And Parcel will look at our index.html, it'll parse through it, and it will say, oh look, there's an index.js. Maybe I should look at that, and then it will jump into that, and it will go from there, and it figures out what we need. It will install the dependencies that we need to run the code that's in that index.js. Right now, we don't have any dependencies, but we do have this import syntax, and it understands that, and will build it out for us. Now, if we come back to our terminal and run yarn start, we'll see Parcel is running on localhost 1234. So we'll come back into the browser and we'll navigate to localhost 1234. And there we go. We get this hello printed out to the screen, which is what we expected, because in our code we're importing index.js. Index.js is importing the hello from hello.js, and then that hello.js is console logging out hello. So just by installing one extra npm package, we can import and export things from different files and have all of these modern conveniences. And that on its own is amazing. But that sells me just on its own. But there is more. I'm going to go back into our index.js. So I'll delete everything from here. So I want to demonstrate the power of Parcel and show how Parcel just allows us as developers to do the work that we do best, which is writing code, not configuring build tools. So I want to write a React application. So the first thing you would think is, oh, well, I want to write some configuration files for Webpack, and I want to install some loaders so that we can parse JSX. Unfortunately, that is not what we think. We just want to write React code. So let's do that. Let's write some React code. Import React from React. Import React DOM from React DOM. So at this point, you'll say, we haven't installed any of these things. But if we run yarn start, which runs our Parcel, Parcel goes out and fetches all those packages for us. How amazing is that? It's going off and finding all this stuff, and now it's just listening. While Parcel is capable of installing your dependencies for you, it's better to install them manually just to avoid any potential issues that may come up if Parcel gets a bit confused. While Parcel is an amazing tool, it's not a replacement for you understanding your own dependencies. So we can just continue writing code. Function, let's write an app component, and our app component will return an h1 that says hello React. And then we will mount that into the DOM using react dom.render document.getElementById app. And then we'll come back into our HTML and we'll write a div with the ID of app. And we'll forget about the hello.js for now, but we'll come back to that in a second. So if we open back up on our terminal, we can see that Parcel is continuing to listen. And if we come into the browser, we see hello React. We did nothing. We just wrote React code. And Parcel installed React, it installed React DOM, it knows how to understand JSX, it all just worked. Without any configuration. I don't know about you, but that excites me. That is just, it's good stuff. So now let's do something with our hello.js file. So we will remove everything, and then we'll export function again. We'll call it hello, but this time it will be a hello component. And we will return a h3. And in the h3, we will print out the hello name. And then that name will be a prop that will pass in, and we will destructure the props that gets passed in there. And we are printing out that name. And then here we can import hello from hello. And then here we can use our hello, but we'll wrap it in react.fragment so that we don't have to pollute our app with divs. React.fragment. So React fragment is pretty useful if you don't know what it is. So as you may know, at the top level of any React component, you can only return one element that has children. You can't return an element that has siblings. Well, you technically can now, but we'll not go into that. And we used to have to sort of wrap everything in a div just to satisfy that rule. But now we can use React.fragment so that we can return one element that has children, but then React knows to not render that fragment, so we don't end up polluting the DOM with a bunch of divs that mean nothing. That's a little caveat, but pretty useful. So then into our hello component, we want to pass a name prop, and we will pass hungry turtle code. And we can save that, hop back into the browser, and we have an error. Reference error, React is not defined in hello. Probably forgot to import React at the top. We did indeed. Import React from React. Always seem to forget to do that. You'd think I'd learn. And we come back into the browser and we see hello React, hello hungry turtle code. This is just scratching the surface for what Parcel can do. Parcel can automatically detect a lot of the things that we typically do with Webpack and need loaders and plugins for with Webpack. Things like importing images and importing CSS or dealing with Sass and things like that. Parcel is pretty good at just dealing with it. So if you do want to know more about Parcel, you can go to parceljs.org and this will take you to the website. You can hit get started, and here on the documentation you can see all the different asset types that Parcel understands and that you can import into your code, one of which is very interesting, which is Rust. So if you don't know what Rust is, it's a low-level language similar to C++, but it compiles down into WebAssembly so it can run in the browser, and that is incredible. So I'll leave you to tinker around with Parcel. It's an incredible tool that saves a ton of time, especially for just little projects that you want to spin up really quickly and prototype an idea. You don't want to have to spend hours configuring build tools to do that. And I know in the past, I've actually not worked on small projects like that because I didn't want to spend the time to dig into Webpack configs, so I just didn't do the project. But now, there's no excuse because Parcel has come to the rescue, so hopefully you see the benefit of using Parcel, you can see how amazing it is, so hopefully you got something out of this video. If you did enjoy it, give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, bell notification, all of that good stuff. If you want to see more, I have a website where I do written tutorials of all the tutorials I have here on YouTube, and until next time, stay hungry and keep coding.